Good morning, everyone, or good day, wherever it is that you're located. I am very humbled today because the Thanksgiving miracle that I discussed last week has finally come. Unbeknownst to me, and never in my wildest imaginations would I have thought or even predicted that in about a month and a half or so, this channel would have over 3,700 subscribers. I am immensely blessed, and I've told that to my students yesterday, by the way, on an unrelated note. I don't know what has been happening to me in the past several years, but every time I've been surrounded by people, I have felt very blessed. And I have felt very blessed because I couldn't have had the stamina and the energy, let alone the desire, if it weren't because of people around me, students, young people in particular, who have told me time and time again, you need to do YouTube, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I take what my students say very seriously because they know that I also take my responsibilities very seriously. And my responsibility is to bring you the best math content that I can do within my limited capabilities when it comes to tech. Uh, but I just feel very, very blessed. And I decided as a way of, I know all of you, I know a lot of you, maybe not all of you, but I know a lot of you have told me that you're very curious about my typewriters because it's so unusual these days. Some of you tell me that, most people are using Google Docs or the other one, what was it? Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word for sharing documents. I use Microsoft Word when I need to do something like for my virtual classes, for example, to do something on the board. But that's not what I would use if I'm writing a book. So, by the way, thank you all of you who have been buying the monograph of algebra because I have a little surprise announcement. I have another announcement for you all. I am in the process. I didn't tell you before. I am in the process of writing another math book. And this time it's going to be an algebra book. It's really like a treatise on a much deeper. And it's not for the faint-hearted. But I figured that given that so many books these days are watered down, I owe it to you all to produce a math book with actual exercises that will be challenging for you, and starting from the foundations. And of course, that book will be available. I can't give you a timeline, but it will be available soon enough. That's all I can say. I don't want to give you timelines because then you all get too excited, and then if something happens, then you'll blame me. You say, "Hey, you told me that in January you wanted to, or in February, and you lock me into a date." But let's just say it's coming out very soon. It's going to be thick. It is no joke, and it's going to be one of the magnum opus, so to speak, of mathematics. But this particular video, by the way, it's just going to be my typewriters, just so you see kind of how the procedure works. Up in my study, which is where I meet people sometimes who have questions about things, and even things that are not related to math. Sometimes I get people in my study, asking me about political situations and things like that. Here's a lot going on here in Virginia as well, and also around the world. But the other video that I plan to make either later on today or tomorrow it has to do with going back to those exponents because there was a mathematical bloodbath 2 days ago. And I'm going to show you the problem I gave the students, and they were reeling. They were left reeling. Honor students, by the way. I'm not going to say the name of the school, but they were not happy with what was happening. And I'm going to share the problem with you and share with you also. Um, Surprisingly enough, this book, the one that I mentioned before, this book actually has, I had forgotten completely. It actually has on page 144 fractional exponents. Fractional exponent. And beautifully explained, uh, maybe not purely mathematical from a pure mathematician perspective, but definitely mathematically correct. And it's one of the better explanations that I've seen in a very long time. And so that's another reason why I've really enjoyed this book. The Dolciani's book also explains them quite well, but in a more formal sense. So if you don't get the formality of Dolciani, then that's why I was mentioning this book. But anyway, here we go, and I'll show you the different typewriters that I use. All right, so here is the first typewriter that I wanted to show you that I've got. Now it's currently in need of repair because I'm very careful when I use it. I try not to use it these days because it's so delicate, but I'm going to get closer to it. This is a Remington 12. It is a Remington 12, and it is from the early 1920s. So not quite Victorian, obviously. It's from 1922. The Victorian one that I've used is currently in repair, in the repair shop. And this one needs to be repaired as well, but because it needs, let's see if I can get close to it here. So this is the keyboard, and normally I would use this one to write letters, mostly to write letters, not math necessarily, unless I was, writing a proof of something, but then I would have to fill in the math symbols with pen. But this is the mechanism, the keyboard rather, and as you can see, these were very well made. It's cast iron. And they don't make these. Nowadays, everything is made in China, And I have zero interest in those products because I like national products if I can get my hands on them. And I try to avoid buying unless, it's something good. But here is, so I don't know if you can see, this right here, the string here, the ink. All right, this needs to be fixed. So it's got let's see here. If you can see. All right, and this got a little seal here. Standard. It's a standard Remington. It says to save time is to lengthen life. Very well said. So here we are. And so this is what I used to sometimes, when it was working, I used it to write letters and such. Have a good close look at it. I don't know if it's a little bit blurry, probably. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to show you the one I use, the other one that I use that is working, and kind of the paper that goes with it. Alright, now here's my other typewriter. This is a Smith Corona, and I have the suitcase for it as well, and this is the one that I use normally if I want to write a letter or even do some mathematics on it, because it actually does work. The only thing is, let me see if I can get close to it here. I wanted to show you something on the keyboard. Okay, it's got if you look on the top here, it has the number symbol, the dollar sign, the percent sign. So it's very functional. It also has your tab, your margin, all your keys. All of the keys are working very beautifully. And then what I normally use, the type of paper that you need to use, the ideal paper, is this that we call, it's very, very soft, right? I don't know if you can hear it, but it's called onion paper. It used to be called onion paper because because the skin of it, it looks like it resembles an onion skin. And you can still get onion paper if you know where to look. So I never have any problems with that. And then I use, if I want to make a copy of something, because sometimes you make mistakes when you're typing. And so what you can use is something called, if you want to make a copy of something, you see this black sheet here, this is called carbon paper. And if you research, some of you might know I know some of you know what it is, but it's not really used a lot anymore. But you can actually trace on it, and it will reproduce whatever it is you're typing on the sheet behind it. So this is kind of, you put it on this side actually. Well, this is the shiny side. And if you turn it around, right, it will be that white looking thing, the white looking side. And that goes in, that's what you put on top of the paper that you actually want to make the copy on. So this is called carbon paper, and it's very useful, at least to me, because sometimes I'm typing something and it's useful to make a copy of it. So anyway, it's blocking the keyboard here. All right, so this is it's a Smith Corona. I would date it around the 1940s. This is from around the 1940s. And I've had it for a very long time. And it always serves me well. I love writing on it because I'm one of the reasons why I use typewriters is I'm a creature of habit. And so if I become familiar with something, I don't normally like to venture into anything else. The other typewriter that I use that I have it somewhere else because it's rather heavy to put on it won't fit on here, but it's an electronic typewriter. But I decided not to show you that one because I don't think you'd be interested. It's relatively modern. It's from 1985. It's an IBM 1985, and that's the one that I use if I really want a power horse, right? If I really want to do something, type something, because that one has other functions. It has mathematical functions as well. You need to be able to get they look like metal balls, right? So the different fonts. And so maybe one of these days, if I'm able to, this is the one I've been using for now, but one of these days I'll show you the IBM one. It's not as interesting, obviously, as these because it's more recent. It's from 1985, so the colors are not, the color is beige and it's made out of plastic, not cast iron. So, but anyway, I thought that you might find this interesting, and this is where, it helps me to think. The sound of the typing helps me to think. So I can't really do this whole, people use laptops now and all kinds of. I also have I also use a computer, but my computer it's a Commodore 64. So actually, I'll show you what the monitor looks like anyway, because I'm trying to get a good angle here. But that is my computer. I use it because I like saving things on it. And so I like doing basic programming. So it's really good for basic programming. So I've been kind of brushing up on basic. You can actually do a lot of math on basic. You can do imaginary numbers. You can do the operations with complex numbers. You just have to know what the programs are. Maybe one of these days I'll show you how to program it if you've got one of these. If you don't have one of these, though, you can also simulate basic programming on your own computer. But anyway, thank you for watching. If this was interesting for you, please continue to support the channel by subscribing. Like I said, I feel very, very blessed. I never would have imagined that the channel would have grown in the way it has, but I'm glad that, there's so much interest in mathematics.